I
it.
hit the button. I think
Just hit it, hit it.
the
Just hit it.
internet is watching you sing.
Just hit it. Is it really?
I don't know. I'm
Shh.
like waiting to see what this notification is all about. Oh, we are live. But I see, yes, it's working. I think it's working. One person's watching, and I think that's me. Yes. Yeah. All right, we're good to go.
Alrighty.
We're actually going to watch the stream, so gonna put that away. We are live. Okay, so before we start, Alex, can you give me a little bit of um, a sound check?
Sound check, check, check. Sound, sound, mic, mic.
Yeah, there's still a mic problem, but I'll see if I can
There's
figure that
still a
out.
problem?
It's not as bad as the last time, but it's definitely something's there, and I can't tell if it's just
Is still
me.
echoing?
I don't really know. But somebody will show up and let us know that they're there and let us know about the if there's any issues. But before we start, I would like to do a quick run through of our project because my goodness, it's coming along,
Mm-hmm.
and this week Torin gave us some storyboards for our little short, and
Hooray!
I know it's really cute, and I don't think you even seen it, right?
I haven't seen it yet.
So I guess I'm gonna share this with the YouTube channel, and you're not gonna see it because you're not watching the YouTube channel.
So I don't get to
So
see it, but everyone else get to see it?
I
That's
think
not
so.
fair.
I know. I'm
Oh,
gonna have
wow.
to send you an update after.
Well, send me the YouTube link
I
and I'll
will.
check it out later.
Well, yes, and it won't be on YouTube. We're just showing it for now. And we're gonna make some changes too, actually. We did the board poll meeting today with Chris Chan, the animation
Mm-hmm.
director, on the project.
Mm-hmm.
So we have some notes. So I am gonna show I will stream the animatic, but we are going to be going through and making some story changes just for technical sakes and to make sure that we are on board to do what it is that we're doing. Hey, Julie, thanks for joining us. Let us know if we got any tech issues. I think we fixed it all. I don't think we have an audio issue, but let me know, please, from the other side. We really
Audio
appreciate that.
issues are the best.
I'm pretty sure we're okay.
Can't
All
even
right,
fix it.
but since you're here, let's jump
Yep.
over to the other screen,
Yep, yep,
and
yep.
I will run through. I'll run through the concepts and everything that we've done so far because it's like I said, it's pretty cool. So, eat your peas. We're running a learn your ABPs short summer series where we're basically bringing anything that we know about production to our classes, and we're running a whole bunch of demos this summer, and we are creating our first short, which is it is very exciting. It's turning out to be incredible. It's really weird. You don't think about these things as you do them. You
Mm-hmm.
just or you like have giant like you just make giant leaps, I guess, where it's like you think of something and then all of a sudden you can really see something. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what's happening right now, and I'm blown away by everybody's assistance and help in the project. And so, just so that everybody knows, our classrooms we have a very specific format, and we always have a meet and greet, which is technically what I'm doing right now. I always kind of run through what it is that we're going to do, talk a little bit about the instructor, anything this month and next month, we're going to be doing demos, mostly speed demos, because we're really trying to get a lot of things done within an hour. But really, the half of our class is a speed demo or a little lesson, and we try to talk about things that you can only learn in the animation industry or when you get your first job. So these are very in-demand skills, in-demand notes, and that's really something that I recognize working in the animation industry and working for Toon Boom. Um, you can really only learn certain things once you get on the job and once you start working within a pipeline. So we're bringing the pipeline to you. Um, Oh, we got Gibby in the audience now. Hello, Gibby. And then yeah, so every class always comes with a micro break. I really like to break up our time and just to like, it's not necessarily that everyone has to take it, but after sitting in a desk for 10 years, I have to get up every hour. I think I'm also a little bit more antsy than most people. I've got a lot of energy. And so I always take a pause when we do questions in our questions and answer period, just to kind of get up and move around my desk. So I think that's very important for everybody that's watching. Like if you're sitting for a prolonged period of time, it's really good for your work state, but it's not really good for your body. So you want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, and that's how we do it. And then the second part of our class is always reviews and feedback and more personal questions. We always bring the best mentors to our audience, and so this is a really good place where you can actually show us your work, by uploading your work to joining our Discord, uploading your work to the appropriate department, whatever we're talking about that week, and then you really get some one-on-one time with our mentors, and it's a lot of fun.
Yay!
Yay! It's a lot of fun. So this project was really could not exist without Mike Morris, who designed our character, and he helped us create our first expression sheets. We're going to be cleaning up those expression sheets soon, but this is our character right here. And this is why we're doing the little rig along class with Alyx. And so what we also did was Michelle went through those concepts, and she cleaned up a turnaround of our main character. So it's right here. So we've got this little P. From there, oops, did I skip a person? I did. From there, we started to design our backgrounds, and Chris Mazika put together our key background. And just so you could see like what he was working with, this is kind of what I gave him. Here was this little thumbnail. I was like, this is kind of our concept. This is what we need. From there, he took that background and he gave us like a ground plane. We really needed to nail down that ground plane for storyboards, which we just had that storyboard class this Sunday. And so the worst thing that could have happened was if we designed our background at a completely different angle than the whole show would have been designed around or storyboarded around. So we really had to prevent that. And this is the image that Chris basically got our storyboarder to confirm that this ground plane was good. So that's what this image is really representing. This is how you work with together people. All right. So this is Torin. When he went and gave us his when he gave us our animatic, when I gave him his instructions, this is really what I had to give him. Here's our character. Here's the silly little P. And what we really liked was these last two poses right here. These are really what we're centering our short around. And this was the thumbnail board that I created. We'll blow through this because I'm not an artist, as you can see. And what Torin did was he created us a little storyboard that looked a little bit more professional and like this. And I will show you that animatic in a minute. But before we do that, I might as well talk a little bit about what's happening upcoming. So this Friday, we've got Jonathan, who is in our chat right now, which is super nice. We go back. I worked with Jonathan on my first job in the industry, way back in the day. And so we're really lucky to have him. He's going to be going through the animatic, which we've already done. We're going to pull out the backgrounds that are like the new angles, so a little bit different than what. Actually, I just realized I don't think I have the actual background. Do I have the actual background in here? The final background? Am I missing the final background? No, I'm not. It's right here. Okay. So from this background right here, we're going to be pulling alternate angles. We're going to be showing you kind of how you rip your own work off to make new angles for scenes. And so I'm really excited about that class because a lot of this stuff is always being pulled from the imagination. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing in the board pull class. Let me zoom down. After that, for the rest of the month, oh, those are our board pulls. Oh, I will show you that. Oh no! out to the beaches, all these blank spaces. The last class for this month, we are going to be doing creating assets and props with Damon Cox, who's coming back to help us build these things. So that's going to happen on Wednesday, July 31st. And next month, we're going to continue on with the process and we're going to be jumping into the animation stage. We'll also be covering some fun lighting tricks. We're going to have to create a new background to, I'll jump back to that background because it's kind of the easiest way to describe it. But we are going to be creating some lighting tricks with our effects and compositing team so that we can have some spotlights and some camera flashes and some really fun things that we can do so that this P really comes to life while he's on stage. So without further ado, I will, let's reconnect. I will play our animatic, and then I'm going to hand this over to Alex, who will take it away. And these do have the notes, so bear with me. I probably should have made 2 copies, and again, this is going to change, but this is our little P.
Yay!
This is like a world premiere. All right, that's it. That's our short. So I am going to go to our OBS here, switch it over. I'm going to throw it back to you, Alex. Is your screen set up the way you want it now? Just out of
Yep,
curiosity?
yep,
Okay.
yep, 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 yep.
I think I'm going to leave it
All
the
good,
way.
all good.
All right. Yeah, so that's it. So that's our little short. There's going to be more to this as we go. It's like I said, it's progressing in like a very fast way, and we're going to be tweaking things a little bit, but I'm pumped for the next animatic where we can start to refer to actual scenes, and once we start to get our assets created, it's gonna be huge, and this is exactly where we're at right now. Alex, would you want to say hi? You already have.
Hi
Let's
guys,
do it again.
I'm Alex. Would you want me to say hi? I am a builder, and
You're not
we
just a builder.
are
You're a build supervisor. You're a rock star
well,
builder.
well, in general, I do builds. Like that's what my job is. But yeah, so we are currently at I guess day 2 of our or building our P characters. Um, he is um so far we have most of like all of our artwork done. Um, I think last time we spent about 2 hours, maybe 1.5, um, doing it. So we have basically all the assets, and I think we even set up pivot points. So today, I think first thing first, we're gonna set deformers for all the body parts, and then we will move on to once the deformers are set, we will move on to cloning the arms and legs and eyes, and then move on to rotation. So that's kind of like a little summary of what we are looking at, what our job like sort of work is today. And yeah,
Yeah, my favorite
Yay.
part, my favorite tool, those static transformations. So I'm pumped. I'm pumped to get there.
Static transformation are the best.
And I know you
Yes.
have a really, I know you have a really peculiar way of setting your deformer points with your pivot points.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that today. I am holding myself accountable.
Okay.
I am holding myself accountable. Yeah, so deformer, I recently actually started using the envelope creator quite a lot, and I found them actually pretty accurate comes to like if you have a very predictable shape like a circle or a square or like a little bit off, they're actually a pretty good tool. What it is you have this deformation points. You can set how many points you wanted this envelope deformer to be, and then you have the spacing. I normally actually just drag it to the minimum. And then smoothness and everything, I don't really touch them that much. I kind of just let them do their thing, and then once it's created, I will adjust it. For the body, I kind of want 6-point deformer instead of 4-point deformer that I normally would do for like a circle, just because sometimes body might get like stretch a little bit or might get bent into like a little bit more complicated shapes. So let's see what I'll get. That's actually not a really good look. Um, okay, let me goof around with the setting, and if I don't like it, I might just create it myself. Yeah. Unfortunately, like I think if I do 8-point, it will actually make a really good deformer for me. Yeah. But I don't really want 8-point deformer. It's a bit too much. So actually, let's just go from here and delete this 2-point. I'm feeling lazy today.
I think I know
Actually,
you well enough that you might feel lazy every day.
I feel lazy most of the days. I'm just gonna create it by hand because I think let's just do go through a more traditional route instead of just try to take shortcuts. I do like when I create a deformer to check where the line is. Sometimes I like get really I don't know, like lost in the like minute details of like creating a deformer to the point I start like try to match my deformer point to the actual pencil point. But we're not doing that today because it's kind of a sicko move, I think, to actually do that. Nobody but me cares about deformer that much, I think. When you select the line, I kind of just see how well the deformer is sort of following the center line to know if I need to adjust some of the handle to make them fit a bit better. But yeah.
I just want to let you know that
Uh-huh.
there are a lot of people in the world that care about deformers just as much as you do, just so that
I
just so you
don't
don't feel alone in your deformer anguish.
I don't necessarily feel alone. I just more feel seen now that I'm showing people how I do it. I feel a little bit vulnerable that way. I don't know. It's like, like it's not necessarily that I'm super ashamed of it because obviously I still do it, but like I don't, it's not something that I feel like everybody understands.
I think you're just
Is
under
it
a
following?
you're under a microscope a little bit, so
Uh,
it's like
on
easy to
two.
feel that gaze or feel the perceived gaze.
The perceived gaze, the self-conscious.
We're getting out of physical. I do have a question though, really quickly about the deformers that you're creating, and maybe you want to rip the deformer chain out. But could you also show people like what it looks like to test the deformer and why you're not going for 4-point deformer?
Okay, so yeah, so the reason why the reason why I don't go for 4-point deformer is purely because as a circle, when you do 4-point deformer, your point gonna be, well, let's quickly make one. Your point gonna probably be like here, like so. So then, when you try to, move the character around, it will, it's kind of limiting. You don't get a lot of shape as easy. I don't know. I'm just randomly making shapes for this. Then, if you have a 6-point deformer, then you can make certain thing happen easier. I don't know, like you can do this. Not that we will ever need to, but like it just give it a little bit more function, I think. And if the P ever need to bend down and reach for something, you know, having some extra points does help.
I would love to see
So
the pea squash so far that it does that. Because that would be weird.
this does this
I
or
don't want
does
that.
this?
I want that one.
This one?
I don't want like literal squished pea, but like it'd be really funny if we can do pancake pea.
Pancake pea will be funny. Yeah, like, well, yeah, especially when you like if you want to like, squish the pea into like flatten it. It'll probably be much easier to do the flattening. Obviously, you still use certain pegs and stuff because deformer does have its limitation like so. But yeah. So yeah, I think for bodies I prefer 6-point. For the eyes, I probably would just give it 4-point because eyes
Yeah,
never
no.
do that much.
Yeah, you can
But
give
yeah,
yourself so much
for
so much more trouble by putting 6 points
mhm
into the eye. You want to do
mhm.
a quick deformer and show people what that means if you put 6 points. This is really like the reason why I guess I'm bringing this up is it's so important to test your deformers, and I don't know if like we say it, but I don't know if people really know what that means. Um, and so it's kind of nice to see somebody else test the deformers and like why it's important.
Well, testing deformer just let you know what the deformer that you just said that can do to the drawing, can affect the drawing. Because even though you like, have experience setting up deformer, have experience using the deformer, sometimes you still like you set a deformer and it still like doesn't quite function the way you want to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have 6-point deformer like so, especially with our lines and stuff, you can do a bunch of stuff to the eyes. But yeah, like you don't really want to push it, and also 6-point deformer does like it make it more of a hassle to move the eyes. So normally for eyes, I do prefer a 4-point, just so like you can quickly hit certain things. Um, I actually just realized we never add lip eyelids to our piece. So Lindsay, how do you imagine the piece blink?
Oh, you know what? We do have that image, but I don't have
Mm-hmm.
I don't have
You
I
don't
don't
have it right now.
yeah
That's fine.
yeah, but I will make a note and I'll get
That's
it to
okay.
us for the next class.
Yeah, I mean, like we can add those later on, and it will be fun to do the expression later on. Um, I
We
can set up
definitely have.
the.
There's going to be eyelids. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I totally forgot about the
They're,
eyelids.
I don't remember them being like unique, pre-standard, but I don't remember exactly what
Okay,
that looks like.
I can just make one really quick, actually.
Maybe have the space to
Yeah.
definitely, create the space for them.
So once you set a deformer, I normally like to hit like the whole build group with a keyframe really quickly. I noticed if you don't set a keyframe to your deformer, sometimes they can be a little glitchy after you finish the build. So just as a precaution, always trying to add keyframes to all of the things that you create. We don't have highlight yet, so we don't need to worry about that. Yeah, let me quickly actually add two drawings to for the eyebrows. Sorry, not eyebrows, eyelids.
I changed the audio. Gibby, is that better? I'm also probably not talking directly into my mic, but I'm also not yelling into the mic.
You sound pretty good to me,
hmm
Lindsay.
Well, I think that it might be different talking to you because of the way that the control panel works.
Oh, so it's like a separate audio output?
There are so many controls in front of me right now. I am not the person that should be doing this. But here we are, making it work.
I'm trying to decide whether. Okay, quick question.
hmm
Is the is the eyelid do this, or is the eyelid do this, or is the eyelid do um this,
I know
like
you're asking
poking
me this,
out?
but I can't remember. And it was done in a Storyboard Pro file, so I haven't opened the file yet.
All right.
But I know that
I will just, I'm gonna go with what I think
put
will
a
look
note.
good.
Put a note. No, no,
Put
no.
a
We
note.
we have we have a specific look. I just can't tell you which one it. I want to say it's the first one, but I can't remember.
Okay, I'll put a note here.
Yeah, just put a note and
Eyelid
reference.
cuts eyes? Question mark.
Because what could also be really nice if we do our static transformations,
Uh-huh.
to duplicate our limbs and our double
Yeah, that's
pieces.
what I'm thinking. Why I
Um,
want to do it now, right? Because
yeah, but it would also
I
be
don't
really
know
good
if
to show
they
people
do
how
it.
to replace the group. So
Ah, I see.
yeah, so if we
Okay,
don't
so
have it done and
maybe,
we do the data transformations anyway, it's not the end of the world.
yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
we'll just set
Yeah,
it up.
true, true.
We can do it.
True, true, true,
This is,
true.
and this is literally why I love static transformations so much. They really change the way we work.
What's the thickness of
You
this?
do your eyebrows so differently than I do, or not eyelids.
How do I do it differently than you?
Because you curve the top
Yeah. Did you just make it straight? You
I
save
do.
one deformer this way. Deformer points.
Okay. I mean that in 100% honesty, that wins.
It's
I
just
do
like
rectangle.
it's a calculated move because well, I think rectangle is fine too. Nothing wrong with whatever it is. I personally think because I always heard like well or like like in when you work in the studio, people will complain about like how heavy the builds is.
Hmm.
Sometimes scene are heavy and stuff like that. So I always trying to see if we could, you know, make it as light as possible. And when you try to make something really light, you normally just sort of like do less with it. I think actually this one is a good one to test out our create. So I only want 3 points and then I just create. Okay, something is not working
Yeah,
for me
show me
today
about
because
this tool because I 100% hate it.
it's not doing what I want today. And I never figured out why it's not doing what I want.
I know that
So
it doesn't relate to the drawing points.
it does though, it does because sometimes I trace it perfectly. Sometimes, sometimes it trace it perfectly, and sometimes it just fuck with you.
Hey, watch your
So
language.
yeah, I don't
This
know.
is a
Oh,
children's show.
sorry. Is this a children's show now?
Not
Okay, okay.
technically, but watch your
Not
language.
technically. Yeah, I will.
We're
Um,
live.
I think I have at least one, right? If you like, PG-13 this. Did you get one?
Okay, then that's your free one.
And try to bargain here for my swear right. It's hard. It's hard out there. All right, I got this done. I'm just gonna copy and paste and then, oops, put it under. Good enough. Set my pivot point.
Yeah, if anybody in the chat has any questions for Alex or I, please feel free to ask. I'm just going to try to dictate what Alex is doing the best of my ability, um, but also razz her just a smidge.
See, like it's not doing what I think it will do because this one is started from here, right? This corner, but this one is started from here, this corner. So it's not really doing anything that I think it will do, so it's a bit confusing. And why do I have two? That's also ultra confusing. Maybe because I clicked twice, I don't know.
Alex is a true professional with over 10 years of experience.
Why did you say that when I'm like confused and like not doing my best? Like, why do you have to say that?
Because it's okay,
I feel patronized.
professionals make mistakes too, and I think that's important part of it's an important part of the process, and it's important to remember. I don't know what's happening. I find that I use that tool and then I end up going in and adjusting all those deformer points, in which case I know I can set them up faster. So I haven't, I'm not a confirmed believer on that one.
I use it when I am too lazy to
I've met
actually
people that
create
like it.
one.
I know other people that like it. I
Certain
haven't
people,
quite
yeah.
figured out how to let it do half the work for me because that's what I want it to do is do half the work for me.
It sometimes does it pretty good. It sometimes does it pretty good.
Ooh, can we make that bottom eyelid a little bit smaller because it's the line thickness is a bit different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, good.
I noticed that.
Yeah, I
So
knew you
let's
would.
match this
I
one.
shouldn't have said anything yet.
3.5. Let's do a 4.
Ooh,
Because 3.5 is probably too
what a
thick.
good look. I'm pretty sure that's
Thank
what it
you.
is. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, but
Yeah. I also think we might need a little bit crease here.
mhm,
So I'm just gonna add a drawing here.
mhm, yeah. Do you
Oh,
put
I hate.
blush and like cheek drawings in your eyes as well? Like how many creases? Like,
Depends on productions like or designs. So like if you look at an eye, especially this kind of eye, normally you have this like wide open sort of look, right?
can I ask a
And
favor?
then um
Can I ask a favor?
make it
Can you
make it black.
no, well, you'd have to undo all your drawing. Yes, that actually black would also work. Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
The pink works, but it's a bit
It's,
hard. Hard to see with
it's
the
a bit hard.
transparency.
So if you have the eyes and pupils, you have the closed eye, which was like kind of lazy eye, or you have like the the glee kind of look. Sometimes people like to add like a little crease here. Sometimes if you work on Snoopy, you feel like eyes need to have like a little sort of like these kind of little creases on the side. Um, Cartoon eyes are, or like, like if people are really annoyed, they can, or retire, they can add a little bit, some sort of eye bag here.
Yeah, I think having the one is
I like,
good.
I like two. I like two sometimes because you can, if you really wanted it, you could, like, you can make a face,
But do you
let's
want
say
them
the
on
P.
separate drawings? Like, do you want each crease to have its own separate drawing node?
You can go lunatic mode and put two deformer on one drawing.
I
But
don't.
no, I
Why
would,
would you call that lunatic mode? To me, that's efficient.
you ask me, but like normally I'm not the one that use the build, right? Like animators use the builds, and so you have to ask them why they don't like it. I don't know why, whenever I think about the P, I always think about him being grumpy.
I asked specifically for a peeved P, so we've got one.
A
I thought
peeved
that's a
P?
very important emotion. Yeah, I liked your P. Actually, your P kind of looked like me walking into the office the day after the holiday party. That's
Yeah.
what I would look like. So
That's probably true.
we would all look like little zombies. Um,
Yeah. But no, so I will do two right now, just
okay.
just to please the general audience that in my head.
And then can we also add a cheek? But I just don't know if you'd put that in the eyeball node.
I don't think we'll put it in an eyeball node. I think
Okay.
cheek will be in the face node.
Okay. We do have a question, a real
Mm-hmm,
question,
mm-hmm.
a real
Oh, real
question.
question. Yay.
That's actually a pretty good question. I know the first part, but I know that Alex and I are going to have very competing answers on this. But the question is, why does Toon Boom have bone deformers when the industry mainly uses envelope and curve deformers? Alex, would you like to?
Because they want to sell it to gaming studios. That's my answer.
They want to sell it to what?
Gaming studios?
Gaming. Actually, yeah. So there's
Isn't Bones for gamings?
yes and no. So there's two different types of bone deformers, and I would not have known the answer to this had I not worked at Toon Boom. But there are two types of bone deformers, and one is for games, the gaming, but Harmony just released a brand new version of their gaming software.
Ooh.
I do not know if any of this has been updated, so this news could be old. But the game, the bone deformer that happens in Harmony, Harmony does not delete any of their legacy tools. So all the original tools in the program are still in the program. And that's because there are studios out there that still use them. And I have seen bone deformers used very smartly. Is that a word? Um, and so I can think of a reason why to use bone deformers, even though they're not. industry standard. I think the hardest part about bone deformers is they work very differently. You really have to teach somebody how a bone deformer affects something. I've seen them used very well in feet because you can take an object and you can kind of bend it like this.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I would say a bone deformer is actually very acceptable. But everybody's so used to the curve and envelope deformers now that they're kind of um, they're not used. So
Honestly, I don't even use curve deformer anymore, like nowadays.
yeah, we don't
But
use curve
yes,
deformers anymore. We just yeah, same.
we
I
just
mean we use
use like
envelope deformer
envelope deformer to
all the time.
replace it.
Just
Yeah,
don't close the
Toon Boom
loop.
does have a habit of not deleting any functions. They add
Yep.
things, and then so there sometimes there's a lot of like glitchy tools that exist in like later version that that is there.
What tool would
But
you think of that does that? What would you call would
I never know what this is.
what are you looking at?
This tool,
Oh,
this little Kai tool,
I can see that my
this little Kai tool underneath,
oh yeah. That's like that's an older program.
right? Yeah,
Edit.
that is
Yeah,
a really old
is it?
program that
Let
um
me I
no
can
one
see now that
really.
you're you're what?
Hmm. This crease drawing is giving me some sort of vibe. I'm just gonna.
I actually don't know what that kite button does either.
I think someone long time ago showed me how they work. And then after they told me how they work, they're like, "Oh, it's no longer working the same anymore." I'm just like, so I just wasted 30 minutes learning how to use it. I still need to fix that shortcut key for switching drawings.
Can I ask for?
I
Can
don't
I make
really
it?
like this crease. I'm
I
gonna,
don't like the taper.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
too
I don't
sharp.
like it either.
Yeah. Can we do a softer
It's
taper like your mouth? I feel like your mouth
my
is a
mouth.
bit.
It's also a pointy tape. Oh, it's just. I think it's just more closer to the thing. I think if I have a design, it would be easier to make them. It's really weird right now because the deformer kind of change
Mhm.
it, and also it's a little bit too thick, I think. Let's make it a
Yeah, make it thin
4.
like the
These are things that we need to change probably later,
and
once we get a design.
I think that the bottom portion of it should be a little
Mm-hmm.
thinner. Like,
Thinner,
yeah, there you
like
go.
so.
Like that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let it taper a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks funny without the
With I don't know why with deformer it kind of look. I'm just gonna have one so far, and then if we need it more, I'll add more later. Once our expression sheet is there. Because right now, one feels already like too much. Alrighty. Um, Crease, eye, pupil. We don't have a highlight drawing, so we ignore it. Top, bottom, they're lacking empty drawing. Let me add them in. I probably will add handle to them later if we have time, but for now, they are handle list.
Oh, we got another question.
For
Oh, go ahead, Alex.
Oh, I was gonna say for eyebrows, you want the deformer point to be a little bit farther away from wherever the start of the eyebrow is,
Do you
because
want to show people
sometimes
why?
it clips. Yeah, let me finish this one first, so then we can see the correct one first. All right. So when it's set correctly, you can see, like the eyebrows are moving freely and with the deformer. But if I set the eyebrow too close, like let's say here, then when you move the deformer,
Especially when it's got that sharp edge.
yeah, when you
Oof.
see how like this edge got dragged because it's got affected by this handle. Of course, you can sort of like set it here. Some people set it there, like the deformer.
This is the things that you learn when you
That one
head.
works too,
That one
but
works.
you can still see like there's a
Yeah,
little
I
bit
know.
clipping. Yeah, so
Mm.
I like it there. I like it here. It feels it's easier to sort of use and it doesn't clip.
I think the only complaint that I can think of from an animator would be that they can't line up their deformer with their drawing, or that. But I think that's such a minimal. In this case, it's so minimal it won't matter.
Make a new drawing.
Says the true build supervisor. Okay, Samantha, you have a question, but I might need you to
Yes.
restate what this question is because I don't know if I understand. Um, do you have any resources for understanding how to build that node network for a rig? What node network do you want to build? I mean, we're trying to make our own resources, if you catch me. Um,
So it's like a template kind of thing. Any
that's what I'm not sure.
resources for a template?
I'm waiting for the follow up
To the
to the question.
heating question.
On her right panel, on the right panel. Okay, so you're looking at the node view right now. You're looking at the I network.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to build. These are not automatic. These are things that you have to learn. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So this is why we're doing the rig along. However, this is a little bit more. It's an easy character, but it's a little bit more of an advanced, like rig along, I guess. And I guess we haven't really released the image, so you can't really rig along with this yet, quite yet. Um, but right now, really good tutorials that I do know to learn rigging are actually through Toon Boom. Their online learning portal is, it does have a really good setup, and I think that it's like, rigging one will take you through all of the lessons for rigging in general, and then rigging there's an advanced rigging or rigging level 2. I forget what they're labeled, but they will actually walk you through rigging a character, and doing a lot of the step. They'll do most of the steps involved. That is a really good resource, and it's free, which is even better. And I'm pretty sure they go right into making templates, but by the time we get to the end of the rig along, we will be making templates, and it is really just, it's a process. It's a hard process to learn rigging, and you have to commit to building a couple characters. This P could definitely be one of them, and actually this P is designed to be a character that you can build, when we release all that information. So
I think this P is a very simple character build to
yeah.
begin with.
hmm it's
You
just a bite
there's not
size
a lot of
of everything.
yeah, there's not like a lot of complicated stuff, but at the same time it does have a few tricky spots that you want to think about it a little bit more.
hmm Yeah,
It's
if you
I
can
would say yeah, it's relatively basic, this P.
I would say if you can learn rigging in 3D, you can definitely learn rigging in 2D. Yeah. I learned 3D rigging in school, and I didn't like it. It was very difficult. I really hated painted weights. And I used all of that energy to learn how to rig. in 2D and like really understand this process. So it's definitely you've got the transferable skills. It's not as hard as it sounds. I think you were there last week with us too, Samantha, but you maybe caught on too late, jumped on too late. But it's really the hardest part I think for rigging is um, really learning how to break down where all your artwork goes and all the individual layers. That's probably the hardest part, just because there's a lot of layers. And then you also have to know where you're drawing what on each of those drawing parts and pieces. So every drawing node has 4 layers. You have to know if you're drawing your line arts on your line arts and your color arts on your color arts. Then there's also the 2 other extra layers, which is an overlay and an underlay. So I find that's the hardest part for people to really keep track of. But once you know where you've kept your artwork, that's when you can start to really understand um, how your networking works in the networking view and all the extra technical details. It's usually what people struggle with the most.
Oops. So right now we have our body, eyes set. So let's move on to mouth. So far, mouth groups are pretty empty. We don't have a lot going on.
Well, he'll have teeth and he'll have a tongue.
I'm actually gonna
Actually, I don't think he even had
give
teeth.
it,
I think he just had a tongue, but we should add the space for the teeth anyway.
yeah, I can throw the thing in, but we won't add any drawing or deformer until
Hmm.
we have the expressions. For smiley mouths like this, I think 2-point deformer is perfectly fine, but I just give it a little bit more function, just because it can, do a little more. Like if you want to make a cute smile, like a ooh face.
It looks so cute.
Right?
It does.
So
It's
that's
so
why I was
easy. It's like
like,
a little
it
mustache.
kind of needs a middle point deformer to achieve that kind of shape. So I like to give the mouse a little bit more deformer. Mouse, in especially in like cartoon mouse are such an important, tool to like convert expressions and stuff like that. We definitely want to keep our mouth a little bit more functionable. Yeah, so okay, I'm just looking at this cutting. Okay, all right, let's add a bunch of joins for it. Um, teeth and tongues. Mhm.
We have another question, but I don't understand. I don't understand one word. No, I don't want to say I don't understand one word of this question, but I don't. There's one word where I'm like, what does that mean? How do you do the peg gate method properly? What do you mean by peg gate? Is peg gate a thing, or is this just how you call pegs? Is a peg gate a thing? What's a peg gate?
How do you spell it?
Uh, exactly how it sounds. PEGGATE.
Peckgate? Don't know.
Do I need to Google what a peg gate is? Stump the professionals.
Teeth, tongues, no throat, top teeth, bottom teeth.
Top teeth, bottom teeth. We could do we do need a back throat. Definitely has a tongue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Once you start talking about IKFK constraints, we're talking completely different rigging methods. I don't know how to talk about these. Uh, the
I'm
technology
still not
has
quite
not.
sure what we're talking about yet.
Yeah, Jolie, send me a photo on Discord and I will take a look. It's the IKFK constraints. This is one of the biggest conversations in a technical conversation behind the scenes, I think, between artists because this technology was way more popular with rigging hobbyists. And like people, and I say hobbyists because they did not enter the animation studios for a long time. And so they are a completely different way of rigging in a completely different way. It's not that it's advanced. It's just and it's not even new anymore, which is kind of crazy. It's been around for I was doing the math. So at some point, it's been around for like 6 or 7 years. Um, but I only know one studio in Vancouver that uses that technology, and they actually stopped using it. So they used it for a production, and they're not using it anymore. They were going to use it for another production, and they didn't do it. And so it's way more used in Europe. I know it's used in the UK and Ireland, and it's also I think used on different types of shows. So depending on the animation style, um,
Lindsay, could
it
you describe how this kind of build is? Because I'm
uh,
still not quite sure if
yeah,
I
I'm
know.
sure you would have seen it. Wait, hang on, Mabel, come here. Mabel's wanting all my attention right now, of course,
And
because I'm
see,
live. Hmm.
nothing.
Mabel, hey, come here. Come, come, come here. Okay, so okay, you're not coming over here to bark in the mic. That's not polite. Can I just give me 1 minute? I will come back. I will mute myself so Mabel does that, and then just give me a
It's okay. Just gonna explain a little bit about the mouth right now, how the network is working. So the plan is, since we have a design that eventually the mouse will sort of be cut into the piece, and I will assume that when our P opens the mouth, it will be this part will be completely empty, right? If it have a tongue or whatever. So if we're thinking something like that was the function of this mouse cutting it, then what we do is the mouse will have like a cutter inside that eventually cuts the head. So that's what we're trying to set up here. We have the mouse drawing will, I'm not sure if we really need to overlay yet, but the line art obviously will be the line. The color art will be, like the fill. And then I think the underlay layer will be cutter for the head/body. So that's how I think we imagine the mouse do. So you want whatever inside of the mouse to be invert cutted by the color art layer, and then you want to make sure your underlay layer sort of goes outside of the group and eventually cuts the body here. just a little quick explain of how the mouse group functioning right now. Is Maple good?
Yeah, I don't know. She'll be fine for now. She might. On days like this when I'm working until 8:39, it's just really hard for her. So I try to give her as many walks throughout the day, but this is when she wants attention. So it's tough to give her everything. But I did get some photos about the IK peg gate. This is not that it's advanced, but I don't know this technology well enough. Also, if this was in one of Ollie's courses, I've never taken one, so I don't know. But what I can say, he's using transformation gates. So
Transformation
transformation
gate.
gates instead of constraints. This might be a completely different way of even doing the constraint system. So and I have heard people talking about a third rigging method. Um, so maybe this is it, but honestly, this is the first time I'm seeing it. Let's see, what's this one? But if it's the same idea, it would work the same as a constraint. But the problem with the constraints are that uh, I can tell you where I like to use them too. Um, the problems with the constraints, and I'm not talking about the transformation gates because I don't know this technology as well as Hollywood, um, but the constraints, what they do is they basically take the artwork and they squash and stretch the artwork. And the reason why we don't use it here is because when you squash the artwork, the line thickness changes. And that is such a huge design call all the time from LA. So nobody likes it when the line thickness gets thin or too thick. So what usually happens is if you take an object that's like this big and then you squish it, um, the line at the top will get really thick and then the lines on the side will get really small because they're included in the way that those constraints work. What is cool about a constraint is that you now have control with one click. You have control over both sides of an object, so it kind of creates an illusion of the IKFK system. Um, Now, I don't know this technology, so I don't know if it bypasses these rules. But if it's causing squash and stretch on the artwork, uh, we wouldn't be able to use it. And so, Julie, I know you want to work at Mercury. This might not be something that you want to worry about. It's not that you shouldn't know this information. It's really good for you to practice things that are um, innovative. Like if anybody that wants to work for Mercury, you have to know innovation. You have to really understand the technology and how to bend it, which means you have to know the basics. Uh, I have no idea if Mercury is using technology like this. Um, but hey, Alex, if can you see me real quick? I'll show you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you like so what a
Mm-hmm.
constraint does is
Mm-hmm.
and why it's cool is you can set up your pegs. So like, where's my camera? Okay, so you'd have your pivot point on your wrist, you'd
Yep.
have a pivot point on your elbow, and you'd have a pivot point in your upper arm. But what
Mm-hmm.
the constraint system does is it's a node that you can basically plug two pivot point places in. So if you select your arm here, it's going to grab this pivot point, and if you select your arm up here, it's going to grab this pivot point.
Oh, I think
But
I built one before.
yeah, you
I think
have.
I think I have.
Yes,
I
I'm
think I
pretty.
have.
Yes, you
I think
have.
I work on it
And
before.
we will not be talking about
It
names of shows.
bothers me.
No,
It
but
bothers me.
and then what happens is if you grab the elbow, if it's set up
Mm-hmm.
properly, you can move
Yeah.
your elbow and then your
You're
wrist and your
moving
upper
the
arm is
elbow.
moving.
Yeah.
But
It's
in
quite
that,
limited,
it
I
all
think.
depends on it all depends on what your director is going to call that line
Mm-hmm.
thickness thing. That will not fly on a Disney show.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
that would not fly on a Disney show. So
Yeah.
but it depends on like the budgets. It depends on how fast you need people to move because it does speed up
Mm-hmm.
animation. It's pretty good for preschool shows like that. You need that squash and stretch energy. Those kids are not going to notice that the lines are getting thicker and thinner. Um,
Mm-hmm.
As for this technology, I'm not quite sure. Transformation gates are usually like switches that you can turn on and off, and you can say when one is working and when one is not working. So you almost have two separate networks hooked up on one. It looks like you have two separate networks hooked up, and then depending on if the switch is on or off. So the limit, oh my gosh, I sound like I used to work at Toon Boom. Um, so
You are.
yeah, I don't know if it would be the active or the default gate because both could. And this is the thing about Harmony. Once you start to work within these little windows, um, uh, you really have to like test the software. Like the way we test
Hmm.
deformers, you really have to like test what thing is doing what. So active and default gate to me both sound like they could be the trigger. So I don't know if 100 means on or if default gate 0 means off. But active could also mean if you put it at 50, it means that it's like doing half the work. If you put it at 25, it will be doing a quarter of the work, if that makes sense. But I'm not quite sure.
I think from my very, very limited experience of building one of those, what I can say is the thing that bothers me the most is it actually remove uh, some sort of liberty um, on how you can animate an object. Like it you add a function to it, but you also take away a function. It's not very like you add a function and the old function still exists. It's kind of like you add this function and people have to sort of work underneath the function and they can no longer work like they used to,
Hmm.
like with the old way.
What I
So
hmm okay, wait, I have a quick question. Jolie, is this a book that you bought online or a class? Because I think I understand what I'm looking at now. Um, so you know how we build cross networks, Alex?
hmm
You know what I mean by that? Where it's like one object is cutting the other thing, so it looks like there's a cross in the network.
yeah.
All right. So this is almost like a cross network. So you've literally got a network set up to go in both directions, where it's IK and then FK. So depending on like, because we are always building in the
Do you
same.
have two sets of arms then?
No, you have one set of drawings, but now you have two different peg
Two sets
inputs
of.
into one drawing. So so your right now your network is
Hmm.
set up. I just talked my way into understanding what it is that I'm looking at. All right. So right now your network is set up. You have the upper arm at the top, and then
Hmm.
you go to the lower arm, and then you go to the hand. Which, by the way, we're gonna
Hmm.
have prop pickups, so you're gonna need to add a
A
prop
peg? Okay, yeah,
in.
I can
Yeah.
do that. I can do that.
No rush. But yeah, so your network is upper arm to lower arm
Yep.
to hand.
Yep.
Um, but I guess if you basically were to duplicate your network,
Hmm.
then you would basically almost reverse those pegs and you'd hook them up in the
Hmm.
same way to your
Yep.
drawings, but now your drawings
Hmm.
hold two peg inputs.
Hmm.
And it looks like it's the default. So you would change your default from 0 to 1. That's what turns it on.
Yeah.
It's not active. No, the active has I don't.
Yeah.
Active sounds like it would be like if you set active to 50, it would only change. It would only influence it about 50%. So you might find
Hmm.
that things lag.
Yeah.
It's from a book. I could see this being confusing, but I can also see that once you figure it out, it would be very easy. Um,
Yeah.
so you'd have the three drawing nodes. You'd hook up your arm the way that you would, and then you'd hook up your arm in the opposite direction. Uh,
Hmm.
Alex, you're just like I don't know what's going on.
No, I kind of get it, because I did, like I did look
Hmm.
into those builds and kind of figured out. Um,
But I couldn't tell you if it. I couldn't tell you if it would look good. I wonder
it
if it would
it's
be the exact same.
very,
But these
yeah,
don't use constraints. These are not constraint orientated.
right,
So this might be
right.
a way to bypass using those constraint
Mm-hmm.
nodes. And I think that in case anybody's wondering, Alex and I used to troll each other at work like this. Exactly.
Show each other at work, like what?
I feel like we're trolling each other right now.
I'm just trying to be very precise towards the legs and the arm because they're more important. Totally unnecessary. I said that, but I still do it.
Sometimes I find that rigging instructions are so complicated. When I read them, they're so complicated, but the actual act of what it is that they have to do is so much more simple. Um,
Mm-hmm. I think, by what you describe, Lindsay, it could work. Um,
well, it's in a book, so it's got to work.
it's in a book. It gotta work. Um, I I just wonder. Well, sometimes I wonder, like if, like, like a thing, whether it works or not, is it actually beneficial to the production? Which
Hmm.
I think different production will have different answers to it. And at the end
Yeah.
of the day, it's really about the project you're working on and how well it's working for you.
But it's worth
For feedback.
continuing to
Mm-hmm.
try. Yeah, it's worth continuing to
Mm-hmm.
try because it's a cool concept, and it's
It is a pretty cool
everybody's always
concept.
asking for it. It's I wonder if it. I have a feeling it
Uh,
works. I have a feeling it
I
works better than
think
constraint.
I think it's because a lot of people like to make sure this feet, once it's grounded, it stays grounded. So you don't, because even inches of movement for the feet, like let's say you want to like bend the leg like so,
Hmm.
but you want the feet to like stay grounded exactly, then having a separate control definitely would help, whatever you're trying to do there. I'm gonna just give it 2-point deformer for now, and we'll see later if we want to change it to a 3-point deformer.
What I would always need to remember, what I would never remember, I would have to write this on a sticky note on my computer because I would never remember FK is top
Remember,
down, FK is top down, and IK is bottom up. So we typically work in an FK system, I think, top down,
yeah,
and it's
mm-hmm,
IK that is going bottom up. So that's that. I would never remember that,
right.
and I would need a demo on a weekly basis to remember. Like I'd have to practice. Like I'd have to look at it and like go up and down the network. Mo, do
What
you have
are
this book
they?
too? The Ollie book, the Ollie rigging book. 600 pages.
Now I
That's no
really want
joke.
to, yeah, now I really want to read it.
I know.
I should never invested that much into learning builds to the point that I bought a book
Well, this
about it.
didn't exist when we were there. Nothing existed when we were learning. We had
Well, yeah,
nothing.
but like I don't, yeah, I don't know if I just looking at my deformer now. We have everything set up, I think. Mouse, eyes, yeah. Oh, and the hand pegs that Lindsay special requested. Right, yeah. I'm just gonna steal it from outside. Surely one of you have it. Nope. Surely the mouse have it. Yes. Who?
Can you hear me? Did I just mute myself?
Nope, I can hear
I
you.
can hear me now. I think I muted myself. Yeah, he had a bunch of stuff on master controllers. He always made very entertaining videos and like little snippets for Twitter. I don't remember where we would see his work, but
All right, I
hey,
think
how are you, Lyra?
we're ready to clone things. So now we have all of the deformers set up. Should I add handles to the upper and lower lid? Might as well.
Oh, we got another question. Um,
Yes, yes.
a basic question. It's being labeled as a basic question.
Ooh.
I haven't read the question yet. I don't know if it's basic. Um, if I wanted to work a rigging job in the industry, what should I focus on the most? Like, what do studios want to see most on a junior reel? They want to see that you know how to figure things out and that you're not afraid to try.
Problem
It's hard.
solving.
Yeah, you need to show them you have problem solving skills, which is hard to demonstrate on a reel. Where are you located? Beep beep, because that's also going to be really important.
Actually.
And I guess the one thing that I forgot to mention about constraints was where I would use them, where I did like using them. And I have this cord attached to my headphones, which is actually stuck under my chair. But what's really nice about constraints is ropes and cords. I would call that tool a game changer. Because if you are animating, like think about the old phones with the telephone cords, and you have to have something plugged into one side, and then you just want it to swing with like a handle on the end, like a phone handle. That's a perfect place for it. That to me is exactly what a constraint was built for, because it doesn't necessarily affect the line weight at that point. Um, and yeah, that's what I would think the most of. Um, okay, we've got some other questions happening. Okay, so beep beep, you're in Ontario, so you are gonna want to know what we know. To be honest, like it's a very standard Canadian way of rigging. What, Alex? What would you want to see if you're gonna spend some time working on a character that you want to rig something that, like, I have the rig along series cadence. Um, that's kind of the level that you need to be at to rig a character. If you go and take a look at through these videos on this channel, the cadence and that is available in my Gumroad that you can download. The whole design package. This P will be available, but this P is a really good stepping stone to go from school for as your first rig, and then you want to do another rig. Um, a lot of student rigs don't have as much detail as what studios are used to. So you want to show that you can add details, that you know how to use common tools like deformers, make sure that your networking's similar to what Alex is doing, or using groups. I like to put my networks in groups now. I find it to be a little bit cleaner in the network, but Alex isn't using them, so I'm not nitpicking. You're nitpicking.
I don't like the groups. I find it sort of make me a little bit anxious when I can't see what's going
The
on
groups
with all the
have to be
things.
identical. The groups have to be absolutely identical.
Like
So it's not fun.
if I have time, I would like to rename them so they're smaller, and then
Hmm.
I would like to color code them
Yeah,
and everything.
I
But
did that in Cadence, the Cadence rig in the first two
uh,
episodes. I did make a big mistake in the
yeah.
Cadence rig though in the first episode. So if you do go back and follow along with me and try to do what I'm doing, um, be prepared. Maybe watch the first two episodes before you start so that you see the mistake that I make and you fix it right away. And that way you don't have to do anything with scripts and you can bypass the blank drawing problems because the blank drawing you want to add to all your rigging drawings.
Oh, you forgot to add them.
I always
I
forget to do
forgot
it.
to add them too,
I
I think.
No, I think didn't I ask you to go back and I was
I
so
did go
worried
back and
about
add
yeah
them. Yeah,
yeah because
but like I
yeah
forgot in the
no you did
beginning.
get drawings
Yeah,
your sleepy
yeah.
drawings. Um, but yeah, I think that that's probably something that that's what you want to show. And then um, be organized in your rigging reel. You know, you don't want to have this, and you can also use our Discord. So we can always give you some advice if you post a reel, your first reel. Don't be afraid to make changes. Your first reel is not your best reel, and that is a mistake that I made. That is a mistake that a lot of people make. They only make one reel and then they set it and forget it, and then they don't get jobs. They don't go back and change things. You really want to make sure that you're going back and changing things. If you don't hear from any studios, then maybe you got to keep working. Also, sometimes getting a job in animation is, and I say this because Alyx and I were animators before we were riggers, and we didn't quite cut it as animators, and somehow made it
Hey,
to
hey,
rigging,
hey!
and
I
that's a
don't
very
think I'm
common
not
path.
cut it.
So you
I
could
think
also, if you
it's
have a
just
demo reel that,
circumstances.
well, I think that it's okay that our brains don't work like that. So, um, yeah, that's
All
also a
right.
way of falling into the rigging role.
Yep. So now we're cloning eyes and limbs. Honestly, the only thing about cloning that I have to say is just always remember if you did anything to one, you need to reclone the others. So like if you add a new drawing and that new drawing have a new deformer, you need to reclone the whole group. If you know like reset a peg or like change anything but the drawing art itself, like you need to reclone it. So other than that, cloning limbs and eyes are really simple. You just select clone, like here in your node view, just node clones drawing only, and then you'll get one like so. Normally the first thing to do is just change the name. This will be the eye back. And then my favorite things to do is just adding a peg.
Hmm.
Let's look at the design. Add a peg, flip it, and because I did center this build, it sort of like just fall into place pretty good. And then you sort of move it around to make sure it fits most of your build. And then what you need to do is just bake immediate parent transformation. Um, yeah. So you need to make sure the active is clicked. I'm just gonna change it to one. Some you can even invert it. It's have funny function with the invert that you people can play
Oh, I
around
didn't
with
know
it.
that that was there. You taught me something.
Yeah.
I just was
So if you invert it, let's say, let me copy and paste this one. If you invert it, it kind of just does the exact opposite job. Um, Wait, this is not doing the invert. I think probably need something that's more crazy. Let's um let's try to do something more crazy to this eye. So if you put it over, sort of do all sort of weird things to it, and then if you bake it, you'll have it you have it there, but then if you set it to invert,
It'd be on the
then
other
it
side.
actually,
Oh my
yeah,
god. Yeah.
because it sort of reads this and then it
I would just put it where I want it to go, and then I would
pretty
think I'm
cool when you
turning
like
that
have
number
a
into a
thing
negative.
that you want to size up and down
Yeah.
and you don't know exactly how you go back to normal. Yeah.
Did I just mute myself?
Uh,
Because I don't hear you,
no, you
Alex.
didn't.
Did we just lose Alex?
No? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. And we'll do the same thing for the arms.
Okay, you can still hear us now? I can't hear Alex. Alex?
I can still hear everything. I don't know if the stream hears it. All right. Nothing.
Alex! I don't hear you. Why don't I hear you?
Uh, why don't you hear me? Did you mute me on your end? I didn't touch any of the settings. Technical issues. The
Okay,
fun.
well, if everybody else can hear Alex,
Everybody else can hear me but you. Great.
that's
All
good.
right. Let
But now we're
me
cut off.
tell you guys.
Alex, can you hear me? Can you just shake your head?
I can hear you.
Okay, you hear me? Okay, I don't hear you.
Mhm.
I don't know where you went.
Hmm.
And you're not in the control room anymore. You're.
Oh. Oh wow.
Are your headphones battery charged? Is that a thing? Because
No, I
you're.
can hear you through my
All right. Well, if it
headphones, so my
works, I mean, keep
headphone is
going. But
fine.
I'm gonna try really hard not to interrupt you. We do have questions. Can I answer? Can I ask those questions and you can answer
What
them?
did you
And
have
I'll
your
just
stream
keep my
up?
mouth shut so I don't
You
interrupt.
can listen to the stream, so then you know what I said if the stream can still hear me. Oh,
Okay. Well, look at that, a new technical issue for us to figure out and solve. Okay, Alex, can you hear me? Can you nod your head again? I'm gonna need
yes.
constant reassurance that you can hear me. Um, we have more questions. Okay, so
Okay.
Lior is asking about our groups. Um,
Mhm.
and yes, to answer your question directly, this is sometimes a problem, but it's not always a problem, and there's ways to work around it being a problem. The benefits outweigh the issues about using groups. So when you're using a group, things don't copy right. And I'm assuming you're talking about animation, reuse, um, keys. The groups can become a blockage, a barrier, but they don't always. And
I think you can copy groups over groups. Like
I
if
think
you
it's just a
have, for
matter of
example,
like knowing how to copy information into those groups.
yeah, yeah. Isn't like special Pay Special have some sort of settings for copying groups, I think. And in general, I think it's just about like how you use it, really. But let's say if we want to, do this arm,
Yeah, groups are not used everywhere. And that's one of the differences of the main differences in studios all around the city of Vancouver. Some studios use groups and some studios don't use groups.
what you
And
can do is just make sure if your group
it's one of
collapse
those
here,
hurdles that you have to learn how to work with the groups, I guess. But once you learn how to
yeah,
use groups, they're great. And especially when you're looking at stuff like this, like we're
you
using
can
static
just
transformations. We can use them
transform
to,
over
you can
here.
also copy information from one group to the
You
other
can even
for like
copy
both
here.
arms or both legs. Um, that's always a lovely trick if you want that information, if you want that, I guess. If you wanna
Yeah.
if you wanna steal information from one limb and put it into the other.
hmm You can also, the benefits also, if you have new hands or feet drawings, you can transfer from the front group to the back group very easily. Let's say if I want to add a new drawing here, let's just do a random drawing here. The back arm immediately just share the same drawing. So it's pretty, like it's a pretty cool trick to just like have instant share. And if I do any edit to the drawing, you can see like it actually changes immediately because they actually sharing the same folders. It also does make the build lighter, I heard, because there's less drawing files in it. So yeah, so that's like it's just it's kind of personal preference or like different production have different preferences, but it's pretty cool. The only thing about grooves that I don't like is people putting things like chords from the top. So like let's say if I have a cutter here, sometimes people certain production will have like a cutter like going outside this way and then like use the body to cut them. That kind of sort like I don't know why it kind of fucked up the pegging system. Like you see how this peg no longer exists, sort of. You kind of you end up finding your arm here, which is super weird. So I don't really like to do that. If the arm need to be cut, I just create a separate port out so they can be cut in the from the bottom than the top. So you want to sort of like think of your group as like nothing goes from the top into the group other than the main peg. Yeah, I think that's the only thing that putting arms or legs in a group kind of make it difficult. It's just it mess up the pegging system. Okay, so now we have clones, arms and legs and eyes. I think we are ready to move on to rotations. Before we move on to rotation, Lindsay, do you want to take a break? Because you did mention taking a little break earlier, and also it's 8. So if we take a break now, we have 30 more minutes. Lindsay, let me type. So I'm just doing some checks for rendering because whenever you add cutters, sometimes we'll have like little gaps. But in this case, we're fine. Everything looks good. Just checking.
Okay, we've got another question. Alex, I
Mm-hmm.
can't hear you, so I don't know what happened. You
This is so
disappeared from
weird.
the
Why can't you
control
hear me?
room, and but somehow you're managing to come through the OBS, so I'm not really concerned. But I just hear silence, so
Is that a good
I feel
thing
like
or
I'm
a
in outer
bad
space.
thing?
That works. Like your window works. It's Is it your phone that you've, because
Uh,
that's the screen that is missing.
well, when I talk,
Um,
I
but there's
see my
another
mic
question.
light
So
up.
if you're
Okay.
troubleshooting,
Mm, I think.
uh, Samantha, I saw your question, but we'll come back to it. Um, Leora, you're gonna have to explain this one a little bit more. What do you mean by yay or nay for legs being flipped? Where are you flipping the legs? Are you flipping the peg above the legs, or are you flipping the artwork? What do you mean by flipping? And this is one of those the hardest parts about Toon Boom is everybody has their own language, including going back to Ollie. Um, the way everybody describes this stuff, especially when you're flipping between the technical jargon and like the casual lingo, which I think I'm more of a casual lingo. I tend to not use the highest form of technology because then I feel like nobody knows what I'm talking about. Um, and then I also forget what that is. I just just do it. But I
If
don't know
we're
what you mean by
talking about,
flipped because flipping means so many different things to me. But then we can come back to Samantha's question, which are there a lot of studios in Ontario? There's more on. I would say there's more 2D studios in Ontario than there is in Montreal. So I would say Vancouver has the most. Toronto would have the second. Montreal also has a lot. Halifax also has a couple. So, and I shouldn't say Montreal has a lot, but Montreal actually has quite a few. I know of at least three or four. Don't ask me to name them, but I know them. I know they're out there. Okay, so flipping. When you cloning the legs and flip, the word is missing. The word is just hidden. When you flip,
it means that are we talking about
when
just
you flip it
cloning the
on the
legs?
static transformation, when you
Right.
clone the legs and flip
Yeah, we
it
just
on the
flip it.
static transformation, it's
So,
kind of hard because if you're not using groups,
mm-hmm.
I guess it would work the exact same. So whether you flip, I usually flip it in the static transformation. I usually flip the peg and then absorb that information into the static transformation. And then when you remove the peg, it would flip back because you had double negatives there. They were that's what was keeping it in place. But then once you delete the peg, the original peg that you used to set your artwork, it would pop back into place. That part always gets people, stumps them, but just they're always one step behind, and it's so easy.
Yeah, so technically we are flipping, I think, in this in the way. I really need Lindsay to hear me, actually. Yeah, some show doesn't like it being flips. Some show like, like they like
Yeah, it's really going to come down
specifically if you
to
have a
it's really going to come
asymmetrical
down to who
character,
knows
like
what
if the
on what
design.
production. It's
Ooh,
not
I
even
can't hear
what the
Lindsay
production
now.
wants.
That's
It's who's
interesting.
in charge of your tech, and what do they want, and what can they handle, what can they
Can other
manage.
people hear Lindsay? Can other people hear me? Mystery. Hey, can you hear me? Hey, hey, listen. Hey, great. I'm start reading chat because awesome. Good to know everyone can hear both.
It's me. I'm the problem, guys.
You're the problem.
I don't hear
Someone tell
anything,
Lindsay.
but
Someone tell Lindsay it's
I
her
can see the
problem.
audio coming through. I know it's there. I can see Alex.
Why do I have to create a channel to join the chat?
I'm sorry that I'm
This is
interrupting if
so
I am.
annoying. I'll create a channel later. I'm not doing it now. Oh well. Um,
We do have to wrap up soon. We are getting to that 2 hour
yeah.
mark. I don't know,
I think
Alex, where
it's
you're at,
better
and if
since
you want to, uh, and then give me a big X. I'll let you close the show. So give me a big X when you want me to stop the stream. I'll just watch for the X and keep my mouth shut.
okay.
It's the Alex
So
show
since we
now.
have all the arms and legs cloned, we have all the eyes and all the deformers. I think, and with the technical difficulty, I think it's best if we sort of wrap up now, and we'll do the rotation next Tuesday. Yeah, and if you guys have any more questions, let me know. I am reading chat now because Lindsay and I have this little silent treatment going on. Yeah, so questions, questions, and then we'll wrap up. I think we should end stream 8:30, so we have 10 minutes of questions. Yes, Jolie, what's the question?
Alex, are you monitoring the chat yourself now?
Yes, I am.
Okay, sick. Nod your head. Nod your head. Okay.
These emos are really cute, actually. I'm just waiting for the question. I saw that I have a quick question and then nothing. Is it me? Oh, okay. So right now I'm rigging Mr. Crab and struggling with his nose because his nose looks so different from the side than from the front. How would you do the nose if you are
That's a good question.
tasked to rig the character? Mr. Crab.
Now, I know that that rig is up on our Discord channel. We are going to talk about that in our rigging class.
I'm trying to look at the
FYI.
front and the side.
And that is
Didn't
going to
he always
happen
stick
next
out?
week on the 31st. It's being announced tomorrow.
Okay, so let's just do a quick drawing of Mr. Crab. So his heads are like this, right? And you have eyelids, whatever. And then you have this nose that stick out. Does the front view so I don't have a rotation here, so I'm not really sure how would it look in the front view. Um, uh, Normally if you like think if they're like going with like perspective and have like front view be like really straight on like so, then between the front view and the quarter front view, I say just swap drawings, like have two different drawings. Lindsay probably gonna say like I need to make the line black. So you can swap drawings. Um, and the front, the profile, is the profile gonna be like connected like so instead of like having like little lines in? If it's sort of like flash, then what you can do is you can, have your nose shape, like finish the line here and have the body line over here, and then you just sort of use the auto patch to sort of cut the outline. It sort of give you this sort of really flash line here. Yeah, I'm not sure if that answers the questions or I misunderstood. The front is a small triangle. Yeah, so in that case, small triangle like this. Yeah, if the front is a tiny triangle, you can still, build this triangle, add your deformer, right? But when it gets to the profile, when it's like this complicated, you just have a new deformer to it. So, okay, so when I was doing the arms and legs deformer, I kind of go through it really quickly. And I think we're sort of talking about some different issues, so we didn't really mention it. So for our build right now, we actually have two sets of arm, right? So we have one set of arm that is a straight arm that sort of have like like a 3-point deformer. And then next frame we actually have a lower arm and a top, like like a forearm and an upper arm. So and they have two separate deformers. So you can, when you have multiple joints in one, like you have multiple joints and you need multiple deformer to sort of support these like different joints, what you can do is when you create a first deformer, you use the create new deformer chain, this little button here. And let me just demonstrate. So, so for our first arm drawing, you just click it, and what happened is it gives you this thing called transformation switch. And the transformation switch sort of assign different deformer to different drawings. So, so for the second drawing, if I add another deformers, you'll see in the transformation switch, it will say the first transformation will go to drawing 1 and the second transformation will go to drawing 2. So then when you create this deformer, you can see I have a group of deformer for drawing 1, and then I have a group of deformer for drawing 2, and then each of them are assigned to different drawings. So yeah, so you can for those different noses, you just have a front nose drawing that goes to the front, and then you have a back, like a profile nose that used for the profile. Yeah, it will be drawing swap. Don't be afraid of doing drawing swaps for rotation. Like drawing swap isn't a bad thing. Like I think drawing swap is what, like how everything. Sometimes I think everything should be a drawing swap because it make a variety of different looks, and small differences actually adds up to make it look better. So yeah, sometimes people kind of trying really hard to avoid drawing swap, which I think it's like to the point that it's a little bit unnecessary. So yeah, I in this case I would say drawing swap will be the answer. To make it look better. So yeah, sometimes people kind of trying really hard to avoid drawing swap, which I think it's like to the point. Alrighty then. If we don't have more questions, I think it's good for us to wrap it up here. Yeah.
Okay, I heard
Yeah.
that,
Have
and
a
I
great
think I
night.
created that echo, so I apologize.
Uh,
But yeah, let's. I got the note. Okay, we're shutting the stream down. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And obviously, Alyx, thank you so much for sharing your rigging talents. Um, we will see you again next Tuesday. And I couldn't tell you what this other new technical issue was, but hopefully we don't encounter it next week. All right, have a great evening, everybody,
bye
and
guys.
we will continue with what I believe the rotation next week.